Good evening, boys and girls. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. There once lived a group of brave, handsome and noble gentlemen in a little principality called Wales. Along their travels, they heard many tales of a mystical land, a place where heroes are born and dreams come true, a place where bloody battles are fought and powerful leaders emerge from its meshy cages and floodlit fields, a place they knew only as the Power League. But what happened in this land, no one could know for sure. Vehicles of 6 men strong armies would enter past the 7 feet high metal fences and emerge 40 minutes later. If victory had been ensured, the occupants left in the highest of spirits. But for those whose battalions were slain on the artificial battleground, the mood would be lower than Boylan's standards at 2 a.m. on a Saturday. And so the men banded together and formed a team. There was Goliath Evans, a man of pure muscle from the peasant town of Merthyr Tydfil, who despite his considerable bulk, had a kind and gentle heart. There was Tom Horgan, a eunuch known for his magical feat. Nick Maskell, a rogue from the north of England, with hair which burned brighter than the midday sun, also joined the merry men. Tony Hanks, a serial womaniser, who would often drink more than his fill of ale, left his favourite drinking hole of Live Lounge to do battle with his friends. Dan Jeffrey, a portly Cockney lad who loved nothing more than a good spit roast, became the gatekeeper at the back. Sam Varney rowed an entire ocean to reach the Bay of Cardiff from his native island of Malta. And Jack Boylan, a man who claimed to enjoy the company of women, but whose outrageous orange boots suggested otherwise, completed the band of warriors. A formidable group of young men, I'm sure you'll agree, apart from Richard the Lionheart Christie, a man who had a strong head but a weak bladder. So armed with only their considerable muscles and delicate skill, with nothing to defend themselves from the enemies who lay within, apart from their quick minds and agile bodies, they set out to conquer this terrifying land. But no matter what they tried, they could not achieve the victory they so desired, and many men fell on those fields, never to lead a normal life again. Once he stepped onto the harsh grass, Sir Wesley of Dean, a nobleman from the royal county of Worcester, lost all control of his limbs and fled west to the wild lands of Carmarthen. Dan Jeffrey stayed as the last line of defence, but when he failed to stop the enemy penetrating through the battle lines time after time, he too fled, a nervous wreck, to the comfort of his woman's arms. Jack Boylan became infected with a sense of freedom he had not had for many a year, and set off around Wales in search of the Juliet to his Romeo. Jack Evans had been called north a few weeks previously to look after the elderly residents of Wrexham, and bound by his sense of duty, whilst unable to see more atrocities committed in the Power League, he too left Cardiff. Rich Christie, a philanthropic man, ensured no ambushes could be sprung from the west by policing the dark depths of Talbot. But 5 knights held firm. Nick Maskell, though infatuated with the new fair maiden, escaped her grasp for an hour to do battle. Owen Williams, a man who usually struggled to slay any beast with his sword, picked up his weapons. Lloyd Evans, transferred from a small clan, known locally as Cardiff City, to don the famous blue and yellow colours of the mighty Malefant. Edther Vapraman, a Londoner of Sri Lankan descent with an unpronounceable surname, answered the battle call of the Fant, as the men had become affectionately known by the locals, to hold firm at the back of the battle. And Lord Alexander Mott, landowner of the vast expanses of Allensbank, stood side by side with his fighting brethren. And so, as the sun set over the suburban bliss of Gabalfa, the usually quiet and desolate pitches of the Power League erupted into life. Blue and yellow morphed into pink and black as 10 warriors commenced battle in a whirl of legs and arms. Malefant were struck some early blows and trembled as reinforcements poured through the gate to mount attack upon attack. But they did not give up the fight. Ed refused to let the opposition through his impenetrable defence. Lloyd, an experienced professional in this kind of warfare, used his wisdom to guide Malefant through the trickiest of times. And Lord Mott, with the skill of Ware's, strength of Horgan and pace of Jeff, stood flabbergasted in the middle of the pitch, occasionally striking some furious shots upon the enemy. A lull came after 20 minutes of intense fighting. The 5 knights refuelled and rewatered, narrowly behind in this most epic of battles. But the wall of pink and black soon attacked again, and MFC could do little to prevent what was slowly becoming an inevitable defeat. But still they fought, gallant to the end. Maskell felt he was unfairly treated, and shouted out to his god, who he called the referee, to have mercy upon him. Owen shouted and cursed, praying for a miracle. MFC surged with all their might for one last attack, a Hail Mary to end the war. But the enemy stood firm and repelled their advances, hammering the final nail into Malefant FC's coffin with 3 quick strikes. And it was over. There was no victory. Just silence. As hard as they tried, MFC went down 14-9. Battered and bruised, with sweat dripping from their failing bodies, the 5 knights held their heads high. And as they left that magical place, you could hear them shout, "We may have lost the battle, but we have not lost the war."